Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radhe. Jayo Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Shri Gaura Nitai. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath Swami, Jai Jagannath. जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जयो प्रभुपदा 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 जयो प्रभुपदा जयो जयो गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृतं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भविति नहिष्टकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, title The History of Life of Ajamila, verse 66. Yatastatascha upaninya न्यायतो न्यायतो धनम भाबरा अस्य कुटुंबिन्या कुटुंबा मंदधीर अयम। यतस्ततश्च उपनिन्या न्यायतो न्यायतो धनम भाबरा अस्य कुटुंबिन्या कुटुंबम मंदधीर अयम। यतस्ततश्च उपनिन्या न्यायतो न्यायतो धनम भाबरा अस्य कुटुंबिन्या कुटुंबम मंदधीर अयम। यतस्ततश्च उपनिन्या न्यायतो न्यायतो धनम भाबरस्य कुटुंबिन्या कुटुंबं मंदधीर अयम। यतस्ततश्चोपनिन्यं न्यायतो न्यायतो धनम भाबरस्य कुटुंबिन्या कुटुंबं मंदधीर अयम। माता जी, word to word meaning. Yatas tatha, wherever possible, however possible. Cha, and. Upaninya, he got. Nyayata, properly. Anyayata, improperly. Dhanam, money. Bhabhara, he maintained. Ashya, of her. Kutumbinya, possessing many sons and daughters. Kutumbam, the family. Mandadhi, bereft of all intelligence. Ayam, this person Ajamila. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although born of a Brahmana family, this rascal, bereft of intelligence, because of the prostitutes' association, earned money somehow or other, regardless of whether properly or improperly, and used it to maintain the prostitutes' sons and daughters. So I also read 67, 68. Yadasho shastram ulanghya svachar atigharita avartata chiram kalam aghayur asuchir malat. Translation: this Brahmana irresponsibly spent his long lifetime transgressing all the rules and regulations of the Holy Scripture, living extravagantly and eating food prepared by a prostitute. Therefore, he is full of sins. He is unclean and is addicted to forbidden activities. Purport: food prepared by an unclean, sinful man or woman, especially a prostitute, is extremely infectious. Ajamila ate such food, and therefore he was subject to be punished by Yamraj. Text 68. Tad enam dandhapane saksham krita kilbisham neshamo krita nirvesham yatra dandena shuddhati. Translation: this man Ajamila did not undergo atonement. Therefore, because of his sinful life, we must take him into the presence of Yamraj for punishment. There, according to the extent of his sinful acts, he will be punished and thus purified. Purport: the Vishnu Dutas had forbidden the Yamdutas to take Ajamila to Yamraj, and therefore the Yamdutas explained that taking such a man to Yamraj was appropriate. Since Ajamila had not undergone atonement for his sinful acts, he was to be taken to Yamraj to be purified. When a man commits murder, he becomes sinful, and therefore he also must be killed. Otherwise, after death, he must suffer many sinful reactions. Similarly, punishment by Yamraj is a process of purification for the most abominable sinful persons. Therefore, the Yamdutas requested the Vishnu Dutas not to obstruct their taking Ajamila to Yamraj. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 6th canto, 1st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The History of the Life of Ajamila. Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjanan Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuvetam Sadhuvutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Shav Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaur Tvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhe evacha Atitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavbhyo namo namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna. So this chapter 1, so it starts with this conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami. And then Sukdev Goswami is asking questions. Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions, and then Sukdev Goswami is answering. And then the story of Ajamila starts. And then we have this conversation of Vishnu Dutas and Yam Dutas. And now these Yam Dutas are telling that why they are taking Ajamil. Because he lived a very irresponsible, sinful life, which was violating the scriptural codes, and he must be punished. So this story of Ajamila, it comes, so in the 6th verse of this chapter, so today we are reading 66th verse. So in the 6th verse of this chapter, Parikshit Maharaj, he asked question to Sukdev Goswami, and he asked that how will the living entities will be saved from hellish conditions? Because Parikshit Maharaj, he is a Vaishnav, so Vaishnav is para dukha dukhi. So when he sees the suffering of others, he feels pains. So he asked this question that how will the living entities saved from hellish conditions? And in the 7th verse, then Sukdev Goswami says that if a living entity has performed sinful activities, so before death, they have to perform atonement. If they do not perform atonement, they have to suffer in hell. And then Parikshit Maharaj, again, in the 9th verse, he asks again that what is the use of this atonement? What is the value? Because even if one performs atonement, one will be forced to act sinfully again and again. So just as Arjuna, he asked question in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that what is that force, which forces one living entity to act sinfully? Even a person of discrimination is forced to act by a force which is sinful. And then Lord Krishna wonderfully answers that it is nothing but lust. That famous verse of Gita, which says, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha. And then Parikshit Maharaj goes on to tell in verse 10 that, this is this performing sinful activity and then doing atonement, it is just like bathing of elephant. That one takes bath but comes back and again the elephant takes bath in dirt. So one, Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya ki jai. So this living entity is victimized by a sinful life. He is victimized by the sinful life again and again. So in the purport of 10th verse, Srila Prabhupada writes that Parikshit Maharaj, he refuses to accept the process of atonement given by Sukdev Goswami as genuine. And Prabhupada writes that Parikshit Maharaj, he passes the test. Because Sukdev Goswami, he tells one process, but then Parikshit Maharaj, he refuses to accept it. So this means he is hearing with a lot of attention. So when there is Shravanam happening, so Parikshit Maharaj is fully, so he's kind of absorbed fully. And if he doesn't accept something, then he clarifies, he asks questions. So this is actually how the Shravanam should happen. Yeah, so Sukdev Goswami becomes very happy with this question. And then from verse 11, then once again Sukdev Goswami speaks, and then he clarifies. He says that real atonement is enlightenment in perfect knowledge. And then he goes on telling wonderful verses. So from verse 11 onwards, next series of verses, they are like blockbuster verses, very, very special verses. So in verse 12, he says that when one living entity follows the regulative principles of knowledge, then he would gradually progress towards liberation from material contamination. So basically the question of Parikshit Maharaj was that if one living entity is materially contaminated, then how he will be saved. So this is how he's telling that first of all, one needs to get enlightened in perfect knowledge, follow the regulative principles of knowledge, and he would gradually make progress. And then in verse 13, he says that one has to live a life of tapa. One has to live a life of tapasya, controls one mind and senses, and give up sense gratification, and regularly chant the holy names. And in the verse 15, it's a very wonderful verse. Kechit kevalya bhakta vasudeva parayana agham dhunvanti kartishna niharam iva bhaskara. So it says, only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful action with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. So it's a very powerful translation that only when one becomes attached to devotional service, then his desire for material enjoyment would gradually become vanquished. So actually when one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness, then one develops distaste for sinful activities. And this is the test of Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness, as it says in Bhagavad Gita 9.2, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam Pratyaksha Vagam. So Krishna consciousness, when one follows, one would actually understand that, that whether one is making advancement or not. It's a process with which, with very pratyaksh praman, with very, very logically we can understand that actually we are making progress. Because something which we used to delight before in material sinful activities, now the same activities one developed distaste for. So one can do this introspection in one's life that how one is making progress. So just as like there are some spiritual processes, where it appears very abstract, that say, how will you, if some person asks a question, a seeker, that how will I understand that I am making progress? He said you have to close your eyes and you will see some light, But here, the path of bhakti which Srila Prabhupada has given, devotional service, It's something like if you are hungry, like if one has not eaten anything since morning, he's feeling very weak. And then he eats, let's say 3-4 aloo paranthas. And he becomes rejuvenated. He becomes very happy. So if no one has to tell him that you are feeling happy now, he will understand for himself. Similarly, Krishna consciousness, when one practices, one becomes enlightened. One becomes very much attached to the pure process of bhakti. One delights in association of devotees. So during the conversation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Ramanand Rai, he says, what is the greatest pain in the world? If we ask this question in outside world, he'll say, if I go to office and I come to know there's a layoff. So these things are, some material problem is the greatest pain, for a materialist. But there Ramananda say, to be without association of Vaishnavas, that is the greatest pain. So previously, one was delighting in watching cricket matches. Previously, one was delighting in watching first day first shows. But now one is delighting in going for classes. One is delighting to wake up early morning to come for Mangal Aarti, to go for classes, to go for yatra. So this is the very practical process, very practical transformation, which Srila Prabhupada has shown, which he has given process. And in the verse 16, the next verse, it says, that if a sinful person, he engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of a Lord and dedicates his life, then he can be completely purified. So this is a very, very important point, that even this verse of Narottam Das Thakur, that Chhadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Paiche Keba. Without serving a bona fide spiritual master, an ideal Vaishnava, who can be delivered from the clutches of Maya? So if one wants to be delivered from clutches of Maya, one has to serve a bona fide spiritual master. When one becomes a servant, like one dedicated servant of a spiritual master, then gradually, his life will transform. We can see that he will actually become free. We say regulative principles of freedom. So Krishna consciousness, is the real freedom. These days people speak about freedom, but actually means everyone is victimized by one's anarthas. But Krishna consciousness, when we actually become free. We become free from the victimization of material energy. That is why it's said that that who is a Goswami? That one cannot be a Godas and Goswami together. One who becomes Krishna Das becomes a Goswami. Because when one becomes servant of Krishna, then one can overcome the victimization which comes by one mind and senses. Like in today's world, the whole parameter of success, if you want to ask someone, if all, let's say if all parents are sitting, like who are retired and their children, they have gone in different fields. So when you ask, who is more successful? So one who has made more money, one who has gone to higher corporate position, or who has earned more money, he is considered more successful. So the whole definition of success in modern civilization is very unidimensional. That if your material assets become more, you are considered successful. But actually, even if a person has lot of money, but he's victimized by his mind. He's having mental problems. He has to visit a psychiatrist. Then what kind of success is that? That is why to earn a lot of money, name, fame, to go to big heights, this is only a part of success. But to experience genuine happiness within, to actually be peaceful, to actually be very happy, within life. So this is actually, what we learn from scriptures. So when one like someone becomes a dedicated servant of a guru, then actually, we can see, like in the life of that devotee, like in the life of that person, that how, his life becomes transformed. So one comes from the jurisdiction of Maya to within the, like one comes from external energy to internal this energy. So when one is under this external this energy, then one is facing this trident of Durga Devi. But when one comes under the embrace of Srimati Radharani, then like Srimati Radharani, she is carrying lotus. So this is actually, this is the process. So this science of devotional service, which is taught that how to come, from a sinful life to a pure life. This is actually taught by Srila Prabhupada so wonderfully. And we are very grateful to Srila Prabhupada, that he has given us this science of devotional service. Now, this path of bhakti, this path of devotional service, this was only accessible, by very, very great souls like some Paramhansas. So it's a very royal path where only pure devotees they used to follow. But Srila Prabhupada has given that science, to ordinary living entities of Kali Yuga. That how ordinary living entities, they can follow in the footsteps of such great souls. So that is why anyone who is sincerely practicing the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, we are called Rupanugas, those who are following the teachings of Rupa Goswami, and then Prabhupada Nuga, one who is following sincerely the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, he is a very special and intimate devotee of Lord Nityananda. So when Srila Prabhupada went to West, previously in Gaudiya Math, there used to be deity of Radha Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when Srila Prabhupada went to West, he also added the deity of Nityanand Prabhu. So Srila Prabhupada is a very special devotee of Nityanand Prabhu, and the mood of Nityanand Prabhu is that he wants everyone to awaken to the love of devotional service. He wants everyone to chant the holy names. So Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Atlanta and he was giving the class, so there was very special deities of Gaur Nitai. So he took darshan of Gaur Nitai and he was singing the song Parama Karuna and he started crying. So we can understand that how Srila Prabhupada is a very special devotee of Gaur Nitai, and is bringing the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this age of darkness. So by default in Kali Yuga, there is no spiritual education. When we see our method of education, the students, when they go to schools and colleges, they only get technical education. They understand like matter, physics, chemistry, biology, and they have like big bags. You go sometimes, I think all the brahmacharis morning they are busy chanting and dancing here. But if you go around 7 to 8 in Pune, so many children they are standing waiting for their school buses, and they have big bags they are carrying. But none of the books they are carrying will enlighten them, like in spiritual education. They are only carrying big books, which will only make them, in the words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, bigger donkeys. So this knowledge of Atma Tattva, this knowledge of Supreme Lord, these teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the first verse of Ishopanishad, that how Lord is controller of everything, this basic spiritual knowledge is missing in modern society. So actually, Vedic knowledge, Vedic time, it is not that you have to neglect material knowledge, but there is a balance. There is matter and spirit. Very nicely, you balance both. But in modern society, there is overindulgence in matter and there is neglect of spirit. Because of which it leads to disharmony. So that is why people in today's world, who are overindulged in matter, they have, they have so much money. They are always traveling in business class flight. Always have all the gadgets, everything, but they are having mental problems. They are not happy. They are peaceful. So the solution is to give spiritual education, and especially to propagate the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, the divine knowledge which is spoken by Lord Krishna himself, it is such a beautiful and such a practical scripture which is applicable to all the people in the world, because any person, who's a practical person in the world, he's working, or a lady, or anyone, Bhagavad Gita is such a beautiful scripture. Bhagavad Gita, teaches the science of how to be in the world and not become contaminated. The science of remaining pure, being connected to Lord Krishna, and yet discharge your duties very, very nicely. So this science of Bhagavad Gita is so much relevant in the world, and is so much required. The Bhagavad Gita teaches this science that how you can give your best, while doing your duties, how you can be enthusiastic. At the same time, you can remain detached. This is very difficult for people, because normally if you put your heart in something, you tend to become attached to it. But Bhagavad Gita, that is why, when people, they rise to senior positions in companies and in corporate, then there is so much politics which starts happening. People want to bite leg of others, push someone else's down, because people are living by these principles of Gita. This principle of Nishkam Karma Yoga, that you have to do your best, and for results, whatever Supreme Lord, whatever Deva will give, you have to be happy with that. So, this science of being in the world and being connected to Krishna, so this is the sublime message of Bhagavad Gita. So, but in today's age, people, they have very less appreciation for the spiritual message. I remember when I was in my college days, so I was in my 4th year, when I started going to the Bhagavad Gita classes, voice. So I was like a sportsman, and every morning, we have a morning program. So I used to have my own morning program, where we used to go to play lawn tennis every day morning. And I used to go morning and evening, to play, because I was I was in the college team. And then I met devotees, and I became very much fascinated. And when I came to know that every day there is a morning program which happens where, they have chanting together, there's a class. So then I stopped going in the morning for morning to play tennis, and I was going morning for this morning program, spiritual program. And I used to go to play tennis only in the evening. So when my other colleagues, sportsmen, when they came to know that why I'm not coming in the morning, so they asked me, why are you not coming? The coach and everyone was sitting together. So I told them that I go for Bhagavad Gita class in the morning. And everyone started laughing. Bhagavad Gita? That you are crazy? You are going morning for Bhagavad Gita class. So this is how, people in the world, the most, the highest thing, people because I am from IIT Kharagpur, all my batchmates, we have a WhatsApp group. So all people are doing so much research, they are printing papers, conferences, such big textbooks, thick books, they are gulping, reading, and they're vomiting, But, and modern man really feel that, they have made a lot of advancement, by, even if we read this conference proceeding, they say that, we have made so much progress. But actually the real progress is when you become educated in the science of Bhagavad Gita and you undergo transformation. You refine your character. You live a life based on spiritual values. This is the This is the purpose of human life. If we forget this knowledge, and if you're just working hard to make, from from 10 script, like from a 10-story building to a 20-story to 30-story, and we say this is progress, then this is just, like Srila Prabhupada used to say, that we are only competing with animals. And one has a very dark future. So, in one of the verse, we're reading 65 verse. So it says that, like importance of good food. So it says that, when one eats food which is cooked by a sinful person, then that is very sinful and like very much infectious. So similarly, there's a so similarly, there is a lot of potency like in the power of prasad. So just by eating prasadam, so much purification happens. So Srila Prabhupada, he brought this culture of Golok Vrindavan to this world. Where we have chanting, where we have prasad. When devotees, they go like early morning for Harinam. I remember everyone, when we were in hostel, everyone, they used to wake up very late. So our first class used to be like at 7:30. So many times people will just wake up like 2 minutes before the class. And the moment they will wake up, they will go towards college with books in hand, and they will put the brush in their mouth. So while going on the way, they will do brush and little wash face and go to the college. But here, to Srila Prabhupada, he has given this culture of Golok Vrindavan, where there is chanting, where there is dancing. We have such beautiful deities to take darshan of. So this movement is not of this world. This is actually coming from spiritual world. And when new people, they are very much fascinated by prasad. So without Krishna consciousness, we are like dead. So we call it our movement like Antarashtra Krishna Bhavna Amrit. So when you remove Krishna Bhavna, you only become Mrit. So we're actually like dead and doing our different things. Only when we get Krishna Bhavna, we actually become enlivened. So Srila Prabhupada, by giving this process of chanting and prasad, like it actually wake us up like from spiritual slumber. So this lot of potency in prasad. So when new people, they come and when they honor prasadam, then gradually, one becomes awakened. I remember, when we used to come in our beginning days for voice programs, so I was chanting 1 or 2 rounds, and there was this Balram Jayanti festival, which was being celebrated. And that day, for the sweet, devotees had cooked this fruit custard, and they were serving in big glasses, like in the where we drink water, in that, because they had cooked so much. So I remember Revati Pati Prabhu was there, and he was like serving me that glass full of fruit custard, and I drank so many glasses, that even after a few days, this custard smell was coming from my body. So point is, that when there is so much of sinful like desires and maya within, so devotees, they put so much nectar within you. They give you chanting, they give you prasad, and gradually, you become purified and you become awakened and you understand for yourself, what is maya and what is Krishna, and you develop intelligence. So this Srila Prabhupada, he has given us this wonderful lifestyle, of Krishna consciousness. First of all, in this world, people do not have any understanding of goal of life. People, they are just working hard to accumulate more and more, but how to spend, they do not know. So this, first of all, in this world, there is no knowledge of goal of life. People are just working. If you go to any college placement, you ask, what is the goal of life? What is goal of life? People will say, I want to join Google. I want to join Apple. This is the goal of life. But, so first of all, Srila Prabhupada has given us that goal of life, where, it's very clear, how we want to live our life. And then he's given a very practical lifestyle, how devotees being in the world, they can follow the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. They can be in the world, but they can remain pure in the loving service of Lord Krishna. And and this wonderful lifestyle, and which is seen very distinctly, between the lives of like materialists and lives of devotees. So recently, when like in this Kartik month, means everyone took vacation and went. So all devotees, they were just running towards holy places. Like someone going for 1 week to Mayapur, someone going 1 week to Vrindavan, 2 weeks, someone going to South India. So materialists, when you ask, they say, "Where are you going?" So we're going to Singapore, and but devotees are more interested to go to Narsing Dev, or like Narsingpur. So how? So this is the difference, between devotees and materialists, and this lifestyle which Srila Prabhupada has given, where one wakes up early morning, chants, then he has a lot of focus in his life, uh, to live by spiritual teachings. So actually, as you spend your life more and more, you become more and more grateful to Srila Prabhupada, what he has given. Because we see that how, like, there is, because the devotee who is practicing, as he's practicing, he is making more and more advancement. Because it's a path of gradual progress. So he's making more and more advancement, and he's developing more and more knowledge, and he could see that where is the world going, and where is my life going. So actually, so we have a big responsibility, like it is said, to whom much is given, much is expected. So Srila Prabhupada, he has made us very fortunate, and all his representatives, by us getting this transcendental knowledge. And our responsibility is to, the gift what Srila Prabhupada has given, to live by that gift very nicely. Like if we want to say, if we want to really thank Srila Prabhupada, we have to live by the teachings what he has given us. So to become sincere practitioners of Krishna consciousness, and to practice it consistently, because Krishna consciousness, it is not like a 100-meter sprint, but it is a lifelong marathon. So to practice it consistently, day after day, with focus, in the association of devotees, that will lead to a lot of purification, and that is the best way, we can pay Srila Prabhupada, we can repay Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
दामोदर एक्सप्रेस में आना शाम को, हमारी मुलाकात नहीं होती होगी। It cannot take the load, it seems.
Hare Krishna. नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपा लसत्कुण्डला गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपा लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपा लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमाना परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृतगोप्या यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमाना परामृष्टम् रुदन्तं मोहनेत्रं युग्मं मृजन्ता कराम्भोजयुग्मेन शातङ्कनेत्रम् मोहश्वासकं पात्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम् स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभि आनन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तमाख्यापयन्तमिति दृक्स्वलीलाभि आनन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तमाख्यापयन्त तदीयेषिततेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वा पुनः प्रेम तत्सं शतावृत्ति वन्दे पुनः प्रेम तत्सं शतावृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षं वधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशादपीहा इदं ते वपुरनाथ गोपाल बालं सदा मे मनस्या विरास्तं किमन्ये इदं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलये वृतं कुन्तलये स्निग्धरक्तश्च गोप्या वृतं कुन्तलये स्निग्ध मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्या विरास्तम् अलं लक्षलभे नमो देव दामोदरानन्त विष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जालभिमग्नं नमो देव दामोदरानन्त कृपादृष्टिवृष्टातिदिनं बतानो गृहाणेश मामज्ञां ईदृक्षदृशा गृहाणेश मामज्ञां ईदृक्षदृशा कुबेरात्मजो बद्ध मूर्तैव यद्वा त्वया मोचितो भक्ति भाजकृतौ च त्वया मोचितो तथा प्रेम भक्ति स्वकाम्ये प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो वेस्ति दामोदरे नमस्ते स्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमस्ते स्तु धाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै नमो अनन्तलीलायै देव्याय तोभ्यः नमो राधिकायै नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै नमो अनन्तलीलाय देव्याय तोभ्यः हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे राधे जय यशोदा दामोदर राधे जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र श्री राधे राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र श्री राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय प्रभुपाद 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 जय श्रील प्रभुपाद दामोदर अष्टकम की जय। वह भगवान जिनका रूप सच्चित और आनंद से परिपूर्ण है, जिनके मकरों के आकार के कुंडल इधर उधर हिल रहे हैं, जो गोकुल नामक अपने धाम में नित्य शोभमायन है, जो दूध और दही से भरी मटकी फोड़ देने के बाद मैया यशोदा की डर से ओखल से कूदकर अत्यंत तेजी से दौड़ रहे हैं और जिन्हें यशोदा मैया ने उनसे भी तेज दौड़कर पकड़ लिया है, ऐसे श्री भगवान को मैं नमन करता हूं। अपने माता के हाथ में छड़ी देखकर वो रो रहे हैं और अपने कमल जैसे कोमल हाथों से दोनों नेत्रों को मसल रहे हैं। उनकी आंखें भय से भरी हुई हैं। रोदन के आवेग से बारंबार श्वास लेने के कारण त्रिरेखा युक्त कंठ में पड़ी हुई मोतियों की माला कंपित हो रहे हैं और जिनका उदर माँ यशोदा की वात्सल्य भक्ति के द्वारा रस्सी से बंधा हुआ है, उन सच्चिदानंद स्वरूप सर्वेश्वर श्री कृष्ण को मैं वंदन करता हूँ। ऐसी बाल्य लीलाओं के कारण वे गोकुल के वासियों के आध्यात्मिक प्रेम के आनंद कुंड में डूबे रहे हैं और जो अपने ऐश्वर्य संपूर्ण और ज्ञानी भक्तों को ये बतला रहे हैं कि मैं अपने ऐश्वर्यहीन और प्रेमी भक्तों द्वारा जीत लिया गया हूं, ऐसे उन दामोदर भगवान को मैं शत शत नमन करता हूं। हे भगवान, आप सभी प्रकार के वर देने में सक्षम होने पर भी मैं आपसे न ही मोक्ष की कामना करता हूं, न ही मोक्ष का सर्वोत्तम स्वरूप श्री वैकुंठ की इच्छा रखता हूं और न ही 9 प्रकार की भक्ति से प्राप्त किए जाने वाले कोई भी वरदान की कामना करता हूं। मैं तो आपसे बस यही प्रार्थना करता हूं कि आपका ये बाल स्वरूप मेरे हृदय में सर्वदा स्थित रहे। मुझे और दूसरे वरदान से कोई प्रयोजन नहीं है। हे प्रभु, आपका श्याम रंग का मुखकमल जो कुछ घुंघराले लाल बालों से आच्छादित है, मैया यशोदा द्वारा बार बार चुंबन किया जा रहा है और आपके होठ बिंब फल जैसे लाल है। आपका यह अत्यंत सुंदर कमल रूपी मुख मेरे हृदय में विराजित रहे, इससे अन्य सहस्र वरदानों का मुझे कोई उपयोग नहीं है। हे देव, हे दामोदर, हे अनंत, हे विष्णु, हे प्रभु, आप मुझ पर प्रसन्न होवे। मैं दुख समूह रूप समुद्र में डूबा जा रहा हूं, अतएव मुझ दीनहीन पर आप अपनी अमृत वर्षा कृपा वृष्टि कीजिए और कृपया मुझे दर्शन दीजिए। हे दामोदर, जिस प्रकार अपने ओखल में बंधे रहकर भी कुबेर के दोनों पुत्रों का उद्धार कर उन्हें भक्ति भी प्रदान की थी, उसी प्रकार मुझे भी आप प्रेम भक्ति प्रदान कीजिए। यही मेरा एकमात्र आग्रह है। किसी और प्रकार की कोई भी मोक्ष के लिए मेरी कामना नहीं है। हे दामोदर, आपके उदर को बांधने वाली महान रज्जु रस्सी को मैं प्रणाम करता हूँ। निखिल ब्रह्म तेज के आश्रय और संपूर्ण ब्रह्मांड का धाम आपके उदर को नमस्कार है। आपकी प्रियतमा श्री राधा रानी के चरणों में मेरा बारंबार प्रणाम है और हे अनंत लीलाएं करने वाले भगवान, आपको मेरा प्रणाम है। श्री दामोदर अष्टकम की जय।